If you receive Social Security, or you're helping someone who does, take just a moment because what's happening this December 2025 could genuinely affect your monthly budget. A brand new Social Security raise is rolling out. But here's the thing. Not everyone will qualify, and a lot of people are confused about who actually gets the increase. In this video, we're breaking it down in a clear, simple, and honest way. No guesswork, no complicated government language. Just the facts you need so you can understand whether you or your loved ones are included in the new payment adjustment. We'll talk about what triggered the raise, how much the average increase is expected to be, and most importantly, the specific groups of beneficiaries who are first in line to receive it. Whether you're retired, disabled, a survivor beneficiary, or still working while collecting your benefits, there are key changes this year that you need to know about. And here's something many people don't realize. This December adjustment might impact not only your Social Security check, but also other programs connected to it. So staying informed now can save you from surprises later. If you want the real details without the confusion, you're definitely in the right place. Let's walk through everything step by step so you can feel confident about what's coming in December. Before we jump in, do me one quick favor. Tap the like button. It helps more people see this important update, and it really supports the channel. Now, let's dive straight into what's actually happening with this December 2025 Social Security raise, because I know many of you watching depend on these benefits every single month, and uncertainty can be stressful. A lot of people have been hearing bits and pieces online, some accurate, some completely misleading. So in this video, we're going to get everything out on the table in a clear, honest way. You deserve clarity, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. The first thing we need to talk about is why this raise is happening in the first place. Every year, Social Security adjusts payments based on the cost of living, but the size of the increase can change dramatically depending on inflation, wage growth, and how the economy is behaving. In 2025, the numbers have been shifting in ways that caught a lot of analysts by surprise. And that's one of the biggest reasons this December update is drawing so much attention. People want to know whether their checks are going up, how much they might increase, and whether the raise actually keeps up with rising costs for groceries, rent, utilities, and medical care. These everyday expenses hit seniors the hardest, and that's why this year's adjustment matters more than ever. But here's the part that's confusing a lot of people. The raise does not automatically apply to everyone the same way. Different beneficiary groups may see the increase processed at different times or in different amounts, and that's exactly why so many viewers have been asking who qualifies, who doesn't, and what the processing timeline really looks like. So let's break this down in a way that makes sense. If you're receiving retirement benefits, you're probably wondering if your December payment includes the full adjustment or if the raise appears a little later. For most retirees, December is when the new rate begins appearing in the payment schedule, but it can depend on when your birthday falls, which week your check is normally issued, and whether your payment is tied to other programs. Some beneficiaries see the adjustment reflected immediately, while others notice the increase in early January, even though the raise technically begins in December. This can feel confusing if you're expecting a certain amount and receive something slightly different, so knowing what to expect can save you a lot of stress and uncertainty. If you're receiving disability benefits, the timing can be a bit different. Many SSDI beneficiaries do qualify for the same increase, but the processing timeline isn't always identical to retirement checks because disability payments follow different rules in some situations. For example, if you're receiving SSDI and also have dependents who receive auxiliary benefits, the raise might apply differently to each member of your family. These little details are exactly why some viewers get worried when their friends or relatives mention getting a higher check while theirs hasn't changed yet. The truth is that many of these differences come down to scheduling rather than qualification. Survivor beneficiaries, widows, widowers, and children receiving survivor benefits have also been asking if they're included in the December raise, and the short answer is yes, they generally are. However, the same scheduling and program-specific factors can affect the exact timing. The good news is that once the new rate is processed for your specific case, it usually continues consistently moving forward. Now, What about people who are still working while collecting Social Security? This group often feels overlooked, yet they're affected by December changes too. With 2025 bringing adjustments to earnings limits and wage-related thresholds, some people may find themselves either gaining slightly more from the raise or seeing a small reduction if they exceed the annual earnings limit. This is something many viewers misunderstand, so let me put it simply. The December raise increases your benefit amount, but if you earn above a certain amount while still working and receiving benefits, the withholding rules may reduce your monthly check temporarily until you reach full retirement age. Understanding this in advance prevents unexpected surprises when your payment doesn't match what you thought you'd receive. Now that we've talked about eligibility, let's shift into something equally important: how this raise might affect the rest of your financial landscape. A lot of the time, people assume Social Security changes only affect Social Security itself, but in reality, the raise can influence other aspects of your financial life. For example, if your benefit amount increases, even by a small amount, it can affect your eligibility for support programs that rely on income thresholds. Programs like Medicaid, SNAP, and certain state-based senior assistance programs sometimes adjust their limits, but not always as quickly as Social Security adjusts payments. This can create temporary gaps where someone might become ineligible for a program they've depended on, even if the raise itself is small. It's not something most people think about when they hear the word increase, but it's real and it's worth paying attention to. Another area impacted by the raise is Medicare. While the Social Security increase is designed to help offset rising costs, Medicare premiums can also change, and those premiums are deducted directly from many beneficiaries' checks. So even if your payment technically increases, the amount you actually see deposited into your account may look different depending on how premiums change. This is one of the most common reasons why someone sees a smaller than expected increase, and it often leads to confusion. When payments arrive, beneficiaries compare their new amount to what news outlets reported, and they wonder why their deposit doesn't match the figures they heard. The reality is that the gross benefit may have increased, but the net benefit, the amount you actually receive after deductions, is what shows up in your bank account. So what should you expect in December? The most important thing to understand is that clarity comes from looking at your SSA benefit letter, your online account, and your payment schedule. These sources show the exact amount you'll receive and the month when the adjustment applies. For many people, this will be December. For others, January may reflect the new amount even though the raise technically begins the month before. Let's talk about why December 2025 is such a big moment for so many families. With rising costs across nearly every major expense category, Social Security beneficiaries have been feeling the pressure. Groceries aren't what they used to cost. Rent and utilities keep rising. Healthcare feels more expensive every year. When you're living on a fixed income, every dollar matters. That's why this raise, even if it isn't massive, is still meaningful. Some people use the extra amount to cover medication. Others put it toward food, transportation, or simply maintaining a little breathing room in their monthly budget. It's easy to underestimate how important these increases are until you see how much they help those who rely on them. As we move deeper into the video, I want to make something clear. Understanding your benefits is one of the strongest tools you have for protecting your financial stability. When you know what to expect, when you understand why a change is happening, and when you know whether it applies to you, you're in a far better position to plan ahead. That's why videos like this matter. Not because the information is dramatic or surprising, but because clarity reduces anxiety and helps you take control. Now, let's address something that's been circulating online: the idea that only certain retirees get the raise and others are left out entirely. That's not how Social Security works. Raises tied to cost of living adjustments apply across major beneficiary categories. Where the differences come in is the timing and the exact check amount, not the qualification itself. So if you've heard people claiming only certain birth months, certain age groups, or certain benefit types qualify, that's simply not accurate. What's true is that each group may see the raise reflected at slightly different times, or with slightly different net totals because of deductions or linked programs. Another common question is whether late applications or recent approvals affect December payments. If you've recently been approved for benefits, your first check will reflect the rules in place at the time it is issued. So if your first check arrives after the raise takes effect, it may already include the adjustment. If you were approved just before the official adjustment, the system may update your rate automatically. It depends heavily on timing, but the good news is that Social Security updates new beneficiaries as part of the same system-wide adjustment that affects everyone else. Let's take a moment to talk about how people often feel when these raises are announced. For some, it brings relief. For others, frustration because the increase doesn't always stretch as far as they hoped. But no matter how you feel, you're not alone. Millions of beneficiaries across the country share the same concerns, and that's why having reliable, straightforward information is so important. When the government releases official updates, they don't always communicate them in the most human-friendly way. That's where creators like us step in. We break things down, explain what matters, and translate complicated information into something you can actually use. Now, I want to make sure you're paying attention to this next part because this is where we talk about the practical effect of the raise on your day-to-day life. Even a small increase can help reduce the pressure of monthly bills. If you plan ahead and allocate the raise towards specific areas, whether it's medication, groceries, transportation, or even a savings cushion, it can make a noticeable difference. A raise isn't just a number on paper. It's an opportunity to make life a little bit easier, even if the increase isn't huge. You may also be wondering what happens if inflation keeps rising after the raise is applied. Will Social Security adjust again? The answer is that COLA adjustments happen annually, not monthly, so whatever raise applies in December 2025 will remain in place until the next adjustment is calculated for 2026. This means the increase is fixed for the year, regardless of how prices may fluctuate. That's why it's so important to stay informed. Understanding how COLA works helps you plan better for the months ahead. Before we wrap up this video, I want to acknowledge something that doesn't get discussed enough: the emotional side of relying on Social Security. These benefits are more than just payments. They represent years of work, dedication, and contributions. They're the foundation that many older Americans depend on to live with dignity and stability. So when changes happen, whether they're increases, delays, or adjustments, it's absolutely normal to feel anxious, hopeful, confused, or even frustrated. And that's why this channel exists, to help you navigate these changes with confidence and clarity. We've covered a lot today, and I hope you now have a clear understanding of who qualifies for the December 2025 Social Security raise, what the timing looks like, and how the adjustment might affect your overall financial picture. If you made it this far, it means you care about staying informed, and that already puts you ahead of so many people who wait until the last minute to understand changes to their benefits. If you found this video helpful, please take a moment and give it a like. It helps more people find this information, and it genuinely supports the channel so we can keep creating clear, honest updates for you. Thank you for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.